Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new here, hi, my name is Jamison. I'm a stay-at-home mom to two kiddos. My daughter Josie just turned 3 a couple months ago, and my son Jax is about 19 or 20 months, so they're getting older. I can't believe I'm already saying that I have a 3-year-old. It seems like yesterday I just gave birth, but anywho, today's video is a baking video. I love doing these kind of videos around the holidays to give you all different ideas of unique things that you can do, and maybe some like things that maybe you're not thinking about that could be a good idea to bring. Sometimes I'm giving you some classics, but I like to reiterate that I'm not a professional baker by any means. This is just something that I enjoy doing, I love doing, and I am kind of getting back into the swing of things. I took a little bit of a break from baking. I had gotten some food sensitivity tests back, and wouldn't you know it, it's like eggs and milk and dairy, and so lots of things that go into baking. So I kind of took a hiatus, but I'm back at it, and I don't know, maybe like I'm reflecting as I'm talking. Maybe it's because I took a break, but this year's treats were majority of flop. And it was silly things that I did. So I know like it was totally my fault that they were a flop. I was burning things. I literally put a pan into the oven with like a Pyrex pan with the plastic lid on top of it. So, it melted all over my oven. The dessert's a disaster. So I kind of decided to cut my losses. And so what this video is I'm showing you the one and only dessert that turned out well. And this was phenomenal. So it's a Oreo cheesecake pudding dessert. I don't know how else to describe it. So really you do cream cheese, butter, powdered sugar, and that was in the mixer, and then you are folding in the Cool Whip. If you've ever seen Schitt's Creek, there's a scene where they talk about folding in the cheese, and that's all I could think about this entire time. But you're folding in the Cool Whip, and then you'll see I'll make a vanilla pudding, and the recipe says you could do vanilla or chocolate, but I thought the vanilla was really good, and I'm a chocolate person, so I think you can't go wrong either way. And then you're going to fold in the vanilla pudding to the cream cheese mixture and just put it on top of the crushed up Oreos, and then kind of decorate the top of it. So really easy, really simple. You don't even have to bake it. You just have to make sure you have about 2.5 hours that it can sit in the fridge. So for me, it was only in the fridge for like an hour and a half, and then we got to our Easter destination, and then it proceeded to sit in the fridge until we were ready for dessert, and that worked out perfectly fine. So this is one I would highly recommend. Like my usual baking videos, I will have the recipe in the description, but because I wanted to give you all some more inspo than just like this one dessert that turned out well, I decided to take my video from last year and attach it to this video so that you can have 4 additional recipes and ideas, because those turned out so good, and I feel like they need a place to shine again. And just because they were something I did last year doesn't mean that you can't just do it again and apply the exact same thing. So I even made the cinnamon roll Easter bunnies that I did in the video last year. So sit back, relax, and enjoy some baking inspiration. Let me know down in the comments below if you decide to try one of these this year for Easter. These baking videos are some of my favorite videos to make. One, I just love baking, and two, I love having treats to give to family and friends and just to have around the house. It reminds me of how I grew up with my mom baking treats, and it just is such a fun thing for me, and it's a bit nostalgic. So right off the bat, right away, what I'm doing is I'm making carrot cake cupcakes. So I did a version of these. I actually got inspiration from Tiffany Beeston's channel. She made these on her Instagram page, I believe, a couple years back. They were like last minute Easter treats, and she used M&Ms on top of store-bought cupcakes, and I thought it was such a good idea, and I tried it out, loved it. So this year I am actually, instead of doing store-bought vanilla cupcakes, I'm making carrot cake cupcakes with a cream cheese icing and then adding the cute little carrot M&M decoration on top. And it sounds way more complicated than it is. I like to pride myself on saying that if I can do these recipes, you can do them, because it's absolutely true. I could screw up cereal if I wasn't focused enough, and so I like to find recipes that are easy and simple and tasty, most importantly, as opposed to something that looks cute. Obviously, I want it to look cute and be kind of aesthetically pleasing if I'm bringing it to an event or something, but most importantly, I want it to taste good. So what I'm doing right now is just using a cookie dough scooper to scoop in the carrot cake cupcake mix into these different muffin tins, and I'm doing 1.5 scoops in each cup to make the carrot cake cupcakes. So I'm just using the time that's suggested on the box recipe. I always do the most minimum suggested time, because you can always add time, but you can't take it away. And while those are in the oven, I am sorting through these M&Ms. I'm separating the orange and green from the rest of the colors, and then I'm going to set those aside so after I ice the cupcakes, I can do the little carrot design on top. So now that the cupcakes are done, I am just setting them on this cooling rack to cool down. For the sake of this video, I put all of the steps for each dessert back to back to back, but while I was actually filming this video, I was making something and then letting it cool and making something else. And so if you have a lot to bake or you want to bring multiple treats, that's something to consider, that you can make something and let it cool down and then bake something else and come back to it later. It really does help if you're baking and you're adding icing or whatever, that your things are fully cooled, just so it works a little bit better. So I use store-bought icing. You can absolutely make your own, but I'm all for making my life a little bit easier. And so I actually did this when my daughter turned 2. I made cupcakes in the shape of a number 2, and it turned out super cute, so I thought I would try it again. I do have an icing piping bag and like a little icing tip at the end, just to make a little bit fancier of a design. But what I did was I put the store-bought icing in the microwave for about 10 seconds, and it just makes it a little bit easier to work with. It's not as stiff. It goes on really smooth. And by keeping it very minimal time in the microwave, it's not going to get too runny and leak all over the place. So this was perfect. It was very pliable, very easy to use in this icing piping bag. I just got these at Michael's one time, and now I've got like a huge stock. And so it's super easy to use and to just put the icing on top. You will be able to see here in a minute, I'm not perfect with it by any means, but when you're adding the M&Ms on top, you don't have to be perfect because you're going to cover it up with a little bit of a design anyways. But this isn't to be said too that you can't just use the store-bought icing and use a knife to spread it on top of your cupcakes. It's going to still be cute and it's going to still be tasty. So like I mentioned earlier, I'm not perfect with this. I'm not making perfect circles. There are gaps in my icing, but it is totally okay. And you'll see at the very end, it is still such a cute treat. And so don't worry about being a perfectionist and making it perfect. You can always go back and fill in those cracks, which I do. And you're gonna cover it up with the M&Ms, like I said. I think icing it this way is seriously so much fun. I had a blast just making the circles and filling it in, but I am also someone who likes to color, so maybe it's kind of the same idea. I was getting just a lot of satisfaction out of filling in the empty space. Okay, the cupcakes are iced, and so now I'm going in with my orange and green M&Ms and making a little tiny carrot. I used 3 orange M&Ms per cupcake for the carrot and then 2 green ones for the top of the carrot. And they're just, it's such a simple thing, but it is just so cute. And I like using carrots as a design and even as decoration for Easter. I just think it's a little bit different, but totally on brand and on theme. I wanted to show you the carrots with just plain white cupcakes in the middle also, because if you are totally stretched for time and you go and buy store-bought cupcakes, you don't have to put the little carrot M&M design on all of your cupcakes at all. You can leave some empty in the middle and just have white cupcakes, and it's still going to turn out just as cute. So if you're crunched for time, definitely think about that as an option. But look how cute they turned out. It's so simple and such a tasty little treat. Okay, so moving on, I am doing these bunny cinnamon rolls. And a cool thing about this is you can do this for a breakfast, maybe on Easter or around Easter, or really just any day in the spring. I think, you know, bunnies don't have to just be for Easter, but they can be breakfast, it can be a dessert or a little treat during the day, whatever you want to do. It's super easy and simple. So again, this is store-bought cinnamon rolls, and I am just unraveling them a little bit to make them into the shape of bunnies. So I wanted to point out I did use the Grands cinnamon rolls, and I think I would recommend using just like the regular normal cinnamon rolls that come in like an 8-pack instead of this 5-pack. I think it just made everything poof up too much. And I want you to make sure if you're gonna try this that you really pinch the ears like that you're making your bunny with together. Some of mine I didn't pinch together enough, and it doesn't look like a bunny ear so much. It just kind of looks like a poof, and it really does help if you make the ear longer. It just makes it look more like a bunny. If you're using the Grands, look at these rolls. If you're using the Grands, I used the minimum amount of time and they still were crusty. I don't understand what the deal is. Cinnamon rolls, I feel like if I don't like change the time or the temperature, they turn out real crusty. So just be aware, I use the temperature that it suggested and I use the minimum time, and they were still really crusty. So I would either bump it down. I believe it suggests you cook them at 350. I would bump it down to 325 and use the minimum time, or I would take off like at least 5 minutes from the minimum time. And then if you need to add on, you can add on. But like I said, you can't go backwards. So they're still super cute. They still were tasty, but I would make some of those adjustments and take the temperature down, take the time down, and I would consider using not the Grand's cinnamon rolls, just like a traditional cinnamon roll. I think they would still be super tasty and super fun. Like I said, we did love them, we did enjoy them, but we do prefer our cinnamon rolls to be a little softer. We're definitely like a underbaked cookie and like a gooey type of family. So just so you know that's kind of our perspective. So now moving on, I decided to do some cut out sugar cookies as well as a treat. It's something my aunt always brought to Easter, and we love the cut out sugar cookies, especially around Christmas time, but I figured why not bring them out now? I mean, there's no rules that it's just a Christmas thing. So I found this YouTube video that helps you turn your store bought like sugar cookie bag into a more of a homemade tasting cookie. It's phenomenal. My husband even noticed a difference when I tried it out the first time. He's like, these are the best sugar cookies you've ever made. So no, I don't take credit for this recipe by any means, but I will link the YouTube video down below that teaches you how to turn your bagged sugar cookie, store-bought sugar cookies, into more of a homemade mixture. They were just as good as they've always been since I've used this recipe, and so I highly, highly recommend it. So the girl who makes the video that I found this recipe from mentions this. Once your dough starts pulling off the side of your bowl, you know it's combined and mixed enough. And so once you have that, you can take it out and start rolling out your cookies. We love sugar cookies in my household. We love the drop sugar cookies. We love the cutout cookies. So these did not stay in my house for long. So if I do want to bring those to Easter, I definitely have to make a second batch. So I'm sprinkling flour on top of the sugar cookies. I just want to mention, I am in no way a professional baker, or do I think I'm a professional baker. It is just something I love doing, and a lot of what I do, I watched my grandma do and I've watched my mom do, and it worked out for them and they've made delicious treats, and so it's things that I'm continuing to do. So if you see me doing something and you think that is definitely not how you should do it, it probably isn't, but it's the way that I've seen growing up and the way I probably will just continue to do it, and it works out well. We have tasty and I think beautiful looking treats from these. But just some tips and tricks that I've done is I've used the flour on my rolling pin, I use the flour on the dough. Sometimes I don't put parchment paper out and I just cover my countertop with flour and I roll out my cookies that way. It just is whatever you find that works for you. But anything to not get your sugar cookies to stick to your work surface is definitely helpful. So I'm just cutting out some crosses. I end up doing flowers and some bunnies as well. And after everything gets cut out, then I will put them on the pan and get them in the oven. So sugar cookies are definitely a commitment. Well, the cutout sugar cookies are definitely a commitment. I'm not saying they're hard by any means. Like I mentioned, if I can do it, you can absolutely do it. Oh, and look, more flour so my cookies aren't sticking to my spatula. Okay, back to business. So they're not difficult, but it is a time commitment. So you have to factor in the time it takes to roll out your dough, cut out all your cookies, and then you also have to factor in the time it takes to ice your cookies. So when I was doing this, rolling out and cutting out all of the cookies took me about 15 minutes. And that is not counting the time it took to mix and combine the ingredients, and it's not counting the cook time either. So I did have to do 2 different rounds of baking my cookies for 11 minutes each. So you've got the 15 minutes of the cutting out, the 22 minutes, because 11 and 11, of the baking the cookies, plus the time it took before to actually combine the dough. So not hard, but it's definitely not one you want to do if you're crunched for time. Plus, that doesn't even factor in all of the icing. There have been multiple times where I've made cutout sugar cookies and they have not even lasted long enough for me to get my act together to ice them. But that just goes to show how tasty they actually are. So now that the cookies are out of the oven, I'm going to give them ample time to cool. I actually did not have time to ice them the same day, so I just put them in an airtight container, popped them in my fridge, and then the next day pulled them out. And then here we are, and we're going to make the icing and get those all cute. So this icing is homemade, but all that it is powdered sugar and milk. And you'll see here, I just added way too much milk. I don't know what my deal is. Every time I make sugar cookies, I always make too much icing because I pour way too much milk into the powdered sugar. One of these days I'll learn maybe, but you seriously just mix up powdered sugar and milk, and it is so good, and it works so well to ice. So you might have a different recipe, you might want to use store-bought, whatever works for you, but this is seriously so easy. You just want to make sure the consistency is thick enough that it's not going to run off the side of your cookie. But it also helps when you're icing. You'll see here, I don't use a ton of icing, especially right away. I try and pull all of the icing that I have so I don't have like excess icing that's pooling, so that when it's cooling later, it's not going to drip off the edges. I mean, of course, I do still get some drips, but doing it this way is so helpful in making sure your cookies don't have a bunch of icing that's going to pour off the sides. So we still have one more recipe to go, but I'm curious, out of the 3 that you've seen so far, what are you most excited to try or most willing to try? I would love to know in the comments down below. Also, if you have a tried and true Easter recipe, treat that you like to bring to Easter, or a treat that you love to make in the springtime for your family or friends, drop it down in the comments down below. I'd love to know. I'm always looking to try out new recipes. I was not super inspired this year by Pinterest. I did go on and look for new recipes, but I kind of just went back to some classics. These classic sugar cookies. I went back to that recipe that I found from Tiffany Beeston. And so I'm always willing and ready to learn some new recipes. Okay, so here I tried to get creative and make little like pink spots in the bunny's ears. The first one was my best one. And then the next 2 that I tried turned out to be total fails. So I just left the rest of the bunnies just plain white instead of trying to add the pink to their ears. But I thought this one turned out so cute. I also wanted to mention you don't have to like be super artistic or like a wonderful baker to make designs on your sugar cookies. Look at the colors that just like scream spring. So if you just get some food coloring and have the icing that's the right colors, even if you just do solid colors like I did, it totally looks like Easter and spring. Okay, puppy chow. I don't know about you, but whenever I make it, now my husband doesn't eat it because he doesn't like peanut butter, but whenever I make it and I take it places, it is eaten so quickly, and I rarely have leftovers, which is great because I don't want to have to bring things home. But it is such a crowd pleaser. It's something about these like trail mix type treats that people keep coming back for more and filling up a little cup and coming back like throughout an event or throughout, you know, the night that you're celebrating or doing something fun. So, you know, you can bring this to like a girls' night. You can take this like little baggies with you when you're going to the park with your kids, or you can even take it to Easter with little tiny cups that people can fill up and just walk around with. Such an easy and such a pleasing crowd pleaser treat. So it really is butter, chocolate chips, peanut butter, and this is the recipe I used was from the side of the Chex Mix box. So it's like, it's nothing revolutionary. And then you pour it over some Chex Mix, and then you add some powdered sugar. Now, I don't listen to the powdered sugar suggestion. I measure that with my heart for sure, and I probably add too much. But you'll see, I'll show you like a close-up of what the puppy chow looks like after I add the powdered sugar and mix it all together. So if you want to try it out for the first time, maybe you haven't tried puppy chow, or you've tried it and you haven't really liked how yours has tasted, take a good peek at what mine looks like. I make sure everything is coated with the chocolate peanut butter mixture, and then I make sure that all the pieces are coated with the powdered sugar. So this was the first time I paid attention and noticed the suggestion to lay your puppy chow out on parchment paper so it can cool down a little bit. And so I tried that for the first time because I wanted to add sprinkles and M&Ms to my mixture, just so it kind of like looked more festive. And then I scooped it and put it back into the bowl and realized it didn't look very festive, so I added more sprinkles and M&Ms to the top. So if you're taking this with you, you can bring like your sprinkles or your M&Ms and then add it to the top of whatever serving dish you're doing. But look how cute and festive that is. So easy, so simple. All right, guys, if you've made it to this part of the video, thank you so much. I absolutely appreciate it, and I'm so thankful. I hope you enjoyed this video. You got some inspo for Easter treats or spring treats, and I hope to see you in my next video next week. Bye.